Hey all, Scott here. After 6 months of living with the Himalayan monks, I got really bored of meditating, and they told me I wasn't allowed to bring my Xbox up there. Thus marked the end of my journey of spiritual discovery. The reasons for my disappearance require unspooling a little story for you all, one which should also help explain the Mario gets exposed to existential horrors theming of the latest piece. When I started this channel, I also began work on short supernatural horror stories. I was really inspired by folks like Poe, Lovecraft, and especially Thomas Ligotti, whose puppet imagery I'd try to avoid, but couldn't help stealing for the Mario vid. I'll say real quick that reading Ligotti cemented my worldview, and I consider myself merely the latest in a long line of his disciples who choose to follow his footsteps into the bizarre. But I also took delight in being funny and wanted to play more video games, so I invested more and more time into walking the road paved by Mr. Plinkett and some call me Johnny, in my case. The problem was, I had so many videos fall through the cracks. So many games weren't conducive to that linear beat-by-beat approach, and other videos I threw out agonizingly far in for other production reasons. This culminates when, after a few consecutive projects were killed in their cribs, I decided to tackle Super Mario Galaxy. I got towards the final stretch of post-production when something awful occurred to me. I was merely describing what was happening on screen in a funny way. I understand that's pretty much what I always did, but Mario Galaxy, being pure gameplay experience, became a comedic diary of my interactions with particular levels and mechanics. And look, it would have been a funny video. The final piece just wouldn't have accomplished something I wanted to devote so much time and effort towards. You can tell from videos like the Mega Man and Crash reviews that I've tried to meet games where they're at when covering them. But I also enjoy turning a narrative of my own out of what I experience. Oftentimes, I felt I ended up making two separate pieces I forcibly stitched together, and eventually just decided to shelve the concept for the most part. But I miss the feeling of crafting stories that were full expressions of myself, not built around a game. In my dismay, I returned to horror, reading and writing as much as I could. One thing I attempted to investigate was my own relationship with fear and the supernatural. It occurred to me that another consistent problem I was facing when making the reviews was that I ended up forcing myself to play these games because I was scared of them. I could get over it a lot of the times, but I was genuinely frightened of Mario 3. In truth, I realize I am afraid of everything. I've said reality is a nightmare. I mean it, wholesale. Comedy is but a mask for our fear, and horror is the bedrock of conscious being. I'm simply no longer capable of producing what I did before. All I can express now is my fear towards existence as a whole. So where does that leave us? Well, I'm still very much pursuing videos in the vein of the Mario piece, expressing horror and philosophy through my interpretation of a video game. But I also want this to be a place for my other writing as well. I make a lot of horror essays and short stories, and instead of those languishing as unpublished manuscripts, I figure I bought the mic, I might as well use it. I think you guys will enjoy the stuff I've been cooking. It's identical in spirit to what I was making before, though now the mask has slipped away. However, if you would like to read these stories, or pretty much anything else I produce going forwards, I have made a Substack, where the original manuscripts will be published, no longer languishing in my drawer, but on the internet. The Substack will also likely be more active than the channel, if only because the written work comes out faster without the need to record audio or visuals for it. I also personally prefer reading horror literature over hearing it, so consider this a not-so-subtle plea to check out my blog. I'll end this once again by thanking you guys. I read every comment I got while I was away. I just wasn't sure if I could pull off the Mario video the way I wanted to. Otherwise, I would have responded sooner. I realize the craft I've chosen has usually led to starvation, but most writers have never had the means to be published. Rarer still do they know if their work has ever landed. I'm not expecting to be more than a niche oddity, but your responses to this crap thus far have been immensely gratifying. For I have the knowledge my work has indeed landed for some, and they have written very kind words to me back. I cannot wait to scare all of you for the rest of my lifetime.